A lightning bolt of mind-shattering pain shot down my legs and almost dropped me to my knees in the middle of the men's bathroom. I frantically clutched my crotch and felt my manhood swelling up uncontrollably. My heart was pounding like a jackhammer. I was scared out of my mind that I was seconds away from either my heart exploding or something even worse. From there, I remember stumbling out of the restaurant, the scream of a siren while I lay on the back of an ambulance, speeding through traffic of a crazy third world city as a paramedic pumped my chest, then being wheeled through hospital hallways, staring up at the ceiling lights flashing by, and then strapped to an operating table, a team of doctors and nurses hovering over me, shouting in a language I couldn't understand, and a nurse preparing a giant syringe that looked like something you'd use on an elephant. I let out a scream as the nurse took my throbbing, swollen manhood in one hand and slowly aimed the needle towards it. I remember praying for a quick death, and my world cut to black. But I guess God had other plans for me. I survived. And in fact, the living nightmare I experienced in that ancient, faraway land led me to discover a simple, stress-free, and 100% natural 30-second secret that completely reversed my erectile dysfunction. Made me swear off pills, pumps, and injections forever, and gave me back the rock-hard erections and endless sex drive I had enjoyed as a much younger man. Even more amazing, this same all-natural 30-second secret I discovered is now helping tens of thousands of other men around the world to enjoy fuller, firmer, harder erections and raging bull stamina. But this presentation will not be online for much longer, for reasons I'll explain to you in a moment. So watch this now while you can. Hi, I'm Mike, and if your erections don't feel as full or firm as they were when you were a younger man, if you ever worry you can't last long enough to give your woman the deep satisfaction she secretly craves, if your sex drive has faded over the years, and you no longer feel that animal lust you're supposed to feel when you're with a beautiful woman, especially one you love, and if your sex life has ever caused you shame and embarrassment, or caused a woman to look at you with disappointment in her eyes, then I need you to pay very close attention, because I'm about to share a shocking story with you about how I went from feeling useless, ashamed, robbed of my manhood, watching my marriage and family crumble while I stood by helpless, until I became so desperate I did something truly horrifying that almost cost me everything I held dear. Yet there's more to this presentation, much more in fact, because I'm also going to share with you an all-natural 30-second secret that I discovered in an exotic, faraway land, a secret that's been buried and hidden from you for hundreds of years. Yet once I stumbled upon it, it became my sexual fountain of youth and rewound my sex drive back to how I felt as a rock-hard, battle-ready 18-year-old U.S. Marine. If you suffer from any form of erectile dysfunction, which we'll call ED from now on, then this will be the most important presentation you'll ever lay your eyes on, because the all-natural 30-second secret I'm about to give you has been hailed as a miracle by men of all ages, from younger men who suffer performance problems to white-haired seniors who haven't experienced a fully firm, youthful erection in decades. But before we begin, know this: ED is not your fault, and you are not alone. Clinical studies have shown 89% of men over the age of 40 now suffer from ED in some form, and 43% of men under 40 do too. If your erections are softer or less sensitive than they used to be, or too sensitive, that's ED. If you ejaculate prematurely, that's ED. If you ever feel like there's a disconnect between your brain and your manhood down there, like your mind is willing but your soldier won't stand up and cooperate, that's ED too. And in the next 6 minutes, you'll know the real reason why. But make no mistake, if you ever experience any of the symptoms I mentioned, you're suffering from early or mid-stage ED. And if you don't fix the root cause, as you'll soon know how to do, it's only a matter of time before full-blown ED sets in, leaving you in a permanent and irreversible state of what's called penile tissue decay, or as urologists call it, sexual death. The good news is, this natural 30-second secret, which was kept buried for centuries and almost lost to history forever, has finally been brought to light, giving you a safe, incredibly potent, and all-natural method for reversing all forms of ED, while restoring your sex drive back to when you were in your physical prime, allowing you and your partner to enjoy more intimacy, more excitement, round after round of intense, passionate, headboard-rattling lovemaking, and the most explosive, mind-blowing orgasms either of you have ever felt, so that when you're finished, she'll look at you in a whole new way. with awe, respect, and lust for your dominant masculine power. Best of all, you'll do this without any awkward trips to the doctor. No expensive prescriptions or medications, no dangerous pills, weird pump devices, or painful injections. What you're about to discover is 100% natural, and it takes only 30 seconds per day. The only side effect is that your woman won't be able to get enough of you because she'll be addicted to the pleasure hormones you set off in her brain like fireworks on the 4th of July every time you penetrate her with your rock-hard manhood. You'll rise to the occasion every time and satisfy her like no man ever has, and no other man ever will. In a moment, you'll hear actual reports from men who use this same 30-second secret, including guys whose bedroom problems seem flat-out hopeless. Yet this secret supercharged their sex drives, gave them stiff as steel erections on command, and took their relationships to new levels of excitement and passion. All I ask is that you agree to 3 ground rules before I reveal this all-natural secret, which one of the world's most powerful industries doesn't want you to know about. Rule number 1. You must give me your complete attention. Put your phone on silent mode, close your door, and focus on this presentation until the very end. This is the only way you will experience the full power of this ancient secret. Rule number 2. You must use this secret responsibly. My life's mission is to save the relationships of men who've been suffering from the ED curse, not ruin them. So once you're bursting with the confidence of a sexual rock star, like a young bull in peak condition with raging stamina, I ask that if you are married, respect your vows and use your new superpowers for good, okay? Finally, rule number 3. Don't share this secret with strangers. No posting about it on the internet. This is only for men who I can trust to use it responsibly, and you're about to see why. As long as you agree to follow these 3 rules, we can continue. Now, the first thing you need to know is that this presentation is sending shockwaves through the pharmaceutical industry. The reason is simple. Big Pharma rakes in mountains of cash from drugs that treat the symptoms of ED, like Viagra and Cialis. Yet, even though doctors are all too eager to write us prescriptions, these drugs are not medicine. They're actually poison. It's true. The pills work by poisoning an enzyme in your body, which blocks blood flow to your penis. And it's only a matter of time before they stop working completely, leaving your penis deader than before. If you choose that dangerous option, you can also expect side effects, which can include sky-high blood pressure, heart attacks, strokes, and even blindness. And if you're crazy enough to buy pills from online pharmacies, you're really gambling with your life. Over 75% of pills sold online are not only phony, they're loaded with dangerous synthetic compounds. Now, obviously, the big pharma pill pushers weren't happy when they learned I'm exposing an all-natural ED fix that makes their drugs irrelevant and unnecessary. And it's why their pitbull lawyers might come after this website at any moment. In fact, this presentation could vanish at any time, which is why you need to watch this now. Let me be clear, I'm not doing this for any fortune and fame. I believe I was put on God's green earth to serve others, and that's why I put this presentation online, even at great personal risk to myself, because I know how devastating ED can be. Not only the way it wrecks your confidence and self-worth as a man, but also how it threatens your relationships, your family, even your own survival. Remember how I said urologists refer to ED as sexual death? Well, when you lose sexual function, it's a signal to your brain that your body is dying. This triggers your body to start melting away muscle mass and storing more fat. Your hair, or what's left of it, begins to rapidly vanish. You lose your focus and mental clarity. Your energy fades. Your sexual death tells your vital systems it's time to shut down. Because as far as your body is concerned, your purpose as a man, which is to spread your seed and pass on your genes, is finished. If this scares you, it should. But we can reverse this today. It has nothing to do with poor blood flow, what you eat, or whether you exercise, or the fact that you've reached a certain age. George M. from Boca Raton, Florida, sent in this email after discovering this simple 30-second secret and putting it to use. I thought my lack of interest in sex and weak erections were just something that happens as we get older. I love my wife, but I didn't have the same desire anymore, and getting up for lovemaking was a chore. I knew it bothered her, and she missed the intimacy. I'm so thankful that you showed me this, because it didn't only save our marriage, it brought back so much fun and excitement. We're now having sex every day. We feel like a couple of frisky teenagers again. Thomas F. from Toronto, Canada, had this to say. I used to get anxious and stressed out every time I was in an intimate situation with a woman for the first time. I would make excuses not to have sex because I was worried about not getting it up or finishing too quick. But what you showed me made that all go away. Now I feel relaxed and more confident. I know I can get hard whenever I want and last more than long enough to do the job. As you can see, every man who discovers this secret is another customer Big Pharma stands to lose. Men like Frank P. from Buffalo, New York. I thought my problem was due to me being overweight and out of shape. You showed me the real reason and how to fix it. My problem now isn't getting it up, it's keeping it down. I'm as horny as a teenage track star. Last night I pleasured my girlfriend for 30 straight minutes, and I was ready for round 2 just 10 minutes later. She had to beg for mercy. But she's sure loving the new me. At this point, you may be wondering, who am I? And how did I come to discover this astonishingly powerful, all-natural ED fix? Like I said, my name's Mike, and back in the good old days, I would have never dreamt ED would ever become a problem in my life. Getting too many hard-ons used to be an issue. I remember waking up every morning of high school with a stiffy I could pound nails with. I'd have to take care of myself in the shower before I got dressed and caught the bus to school. And throughout my day, my pesky pecker had a life of its own. I'll never forget my 9th grade biology teacher, Miss Edelstein. Her short skirts and big full breasts that looked ready to burst out of her blouse. I used to pray she wouldn't call me up to the front to solve a problem on the blackboard. Just being in the same room as her gave me a stiffy that nearly ripped a hole in my pants. My unexpected erections came too easily, and it was embarrassing. I went on to proudly serve my country in the U.S. Marine Corps, until the day my patrol vehicle was ripped in half by a roadside bomb. I survived by the grace of God, but my right knee was wrecked. After months of surgery and rehab, I left the military with an honorable discharge. I returned to civilian life in the small town I'd grown up in and got a sales job at a car dealership. I also met my soulmate, Angie. We got married and wasted no time starting a family. The good Lord blessed us with 2 beautiful children. I was a rising star at my job, racking up Salesman of the Month awards and big bonus checks. And Angie and I had a fantastic sex life. Even after years together, we were so affectionate towards each other that we made other couples jealous. Yet once I reached my 40s, my energy and motivation began to slide downhill. My belly grew while my hairline shrunk. And I wasn't interested in sex the way I used to be. It wasn't Angie's fault. She kept herself in tip-top shape and still turned heads wherever she went. But now, we'd be in bed and she would be naked, wet and ready, and I'd make excuses to not have sex because I knew I couldn't perform. I blamed it on stress from my job or my diet. But as I continued to fail in the bedroom, it caused me more embarrassment and anxiety, which only made the problems worse. Some nights I could get hard, but I had trouble staying hard. I'd go limp as a wet rag and wind up tugging on my sad, shriveled soldier, praying for a miracle, until Angie would let out a disappointed sigh and say, "It's okay, honey," and crawl under the covers and turn away. Other times I'd get myself just hard enough to penetrate her, but I was so worked up I'd lose control and blow it within seconds. There were nights when Angie would be beside me in bed, she'd reach over and start massaging me down there. And even though I was wide awake, I'd pretend to be asleep and move away because I didn't want to disappoint her with another humiliating performance. She'd tell me, "It's okay." But as men, we know this is not okay. It's not only humiliating for us, it's also hurtful and embarrassing for her. She worries you aren't attracted to her the way you once were. She feels ugly, fat, old, unwanted. You know how women remember every little insult and disappointment? I felt so ashamed and furious with myself. What kind of man can't fulfill his most basic duty to his wife? I went to my doctor and asked him about testosterone injections, but he shot down that idea. He said once you get on the fake stuff, your body's natural testosterone production shuts down and your risk of prostate cancer shoots up. Instead, he scribbled a prescription for, you guessed it, the little blue pills, almost $30 each. And I hated myself for it. A man who has taken his vows before God to love and cherish his wife shouldn't need to depend on some artificial drug just to make love to her, right? Still, the next night, I popped a pill after Angie and I put the kids to sleep. And as we lay in bed watching TV, I began to feel some tingling and stirring down there. Thank you, Lord, I thought. Even if taking that pill was cheating in my mind, at least I could pleasure my wife again, like a man is supposed to. I moved Angie's hand onto my stiffening boner, and she giggled like an excited schoolgirl. She thought the old me was back. But suddenly, I felt flushed and sweaty. My heart started pounding like a jackhammer. I felt so dizzy I stumbled out of bed and staggered to the bathroom. I was slumped over the sink, splashing cold water on my face. When Angie opened the bathroom door and glared at me with ice-cold daggers in her eyes, this time she didn't look disappointed. She was pissed. "This has gone on long enough," she said. And then came 5 words that hit me like a sledgehammer. "Tell me who she is." My wife was suspicious that I was seeing another woman. It felt like a cruel joke. How could I be screwing some mistress when I couldn't even get it up for my own wife, the mother of my children? I swore to Angie there was no one else. Out of sheer desperation, I made up the only excuse I could think of. I told her my old combat injury had flared up and my doctor had me on some pain medication that was known to have side effects when it came to a man's sexual function. So now on top of it all, I just lied to my wife for the first time. I got her to believe me. For now. But as I hugged her close to my chest, I choked back tears of shame and frustration. Angie, being the incredible wife she is, kissed me and told me, "It's going to be all right. Whatever you're going through, whatever the problem is, we're going to get through it together." Right then, I silently swore to myself that I would get to the root of this problem and fix it, no matter what. I began spending all of my spare time doing research on the internet and at our local university library. I learned the medical explanation for ED. Your body is unable to increase blood circulation to the vessels surrounding your penis, which prevents it from filling it with blood and giving you an erection. Pills like Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra can force this to happen artificially. But did you know that almost 1,000 people die every year from heart attacks due to these drugs? And every time you put that toxic junk in your system, it makes it even harder for you to ever get another natural erection again. None of the published medical studies in the USA gave any clues about how to fix ED without drugs. And the reason why is obvious. Big Pharma has doctors, researchers, and even medical schools in their back pocket. I was desperate for answers, and my wedding anniversary with Angie was coming up. We hadn't been intimate in months. Our marriage was dying a slow death. I'd been sleeping on the living room couch. I wasn't a real man anymore. I sure wasn't a real husband, and I didn't deserve to share a bed with her. And we were arguing over the bills, too. My shattered confidence was affecting me at work. My sales numbers were in the toilet. Then one night, after Angie and I had another blowout argument, I crept into our daughter Mandy's bedroom to kiss her goodnight. I found her curled up in bed, her little 5-year-old body trembling as she sobbed herself to sleep. "Why do you and Mommy hate each other?" my baby girl said to me, sniffling through her tears. And it hit me like a lightning bolt. My ED nightmare wasn't only destroying my manhood and my marriage, it was tearing apart my family. I had to take massive action or lose everything. The next day, my boss handed me my quarterly bonus check. After telling me my numbers were a joke compared to the new sales guy, Gary, the young, slick punk who called me Grandpa, although my bonus was a fraction of the checks I used to pull in, it was enough for me to buy Angie and me 2 tickets to Egypt. Why Egypt? Well, Angie is a history buff. She loved reading and watching shows about ancient civilizations. The Egyptian pyramids were at the top of her bucket list. I figured if we could just get away and be alone together for the first time in years, somewhere brand new and romantic, maybe, just maybe, I could perform like a man again, and we could make a fresh start. When I showed Angie the tickets, she cried tears of joy. She wanted to fix our relationship just as badly as I did. We promised each other this trip would be a new beginning for us. So we dropped off our kids with Angie's sister and off we went to Cairo, the sprawling capital of Egypt. The first 2 nights in Cairo, I avoided sex by saying I was wiped out from jet lag. I didn't feel ready to try yet. My libido was still missing in action. But on the 3rd night, after a long day of visiting the pyramids, Angie sprung a surprise on me. She booked us a table at some fancy restaurant along the banks of the Nile River. "We came here to make a fresh start," she said, "and I brought a special outfit for later tonight." Angie opened her suitcase and held up some very naughty lingerie in front of her curvy body. There was a time when just seeing that would have made me harder than 3rd-year calculus. Yet instead, I felt anxious and sick to my stomach. But then I remembered I'd brought along something in my luggage too. A secret weapon, which I'll explain in a moment. So now we're at the restaurant, on our 2nd bottle of wine. I rarely drink, but I needed some liquid courage to steady my nerves. Angie was buzzed and feeling frisky. Under the table, she slipped off her shoe and nuzzled her foot into my groin. "Honey, thank you for this trip," she said. "It's just you and me here, and tonight I'm going to show you my appreciation." The movie played out in my worried mind. Later tonight, me in bed next to Angie. She's in her red lace lingerie, and I'm sitting there tugging on my sad, shriveled junk as useless as soggy spaghetti, humiliating myself and letting her down again. And that's when I knew I couldn't risk another pathetic performance. Tonight was do or die. I excused myself to go to the bathroom, locked myself inside a stall, and pulled my secret weapon out of my pocket, a penile injection kit I'd ordered from some website. I must have looked beyond pathetic, cringing in a bathroom stall like some junkie, shooting up my limp penis full of some black market drug while I clenched my teeth to keep from screaming in pain. 10 minutes later, back at our table, as Angie ordered dessert, I gulped another glass of wine. I felt a painful cramping in my crotch. Jolts of searing pain shot down my legs, and I could feel my junk swelling up like a balloon hooked up to a pump. Dear God, it felt like it was going to burst. I excused myself to go back to the men's room, frantically